Hello guys, Captain Alex Mason here, and I haven't, well, I shouldn't say I haven't done this in a long time, but, like, a video like this, but, basically what I'm going to do, because I just remembered this from having, like, a response from one of the previous comments I made a couple of months back, dating back to February of this year, where I was asking, because I was watching a guy named Pyconic, I don't know how to really remember how to pronounce his name, but anyway, he did a lot of Call of Duty Online videos, which is that Chinese game that was only available for China because they had the console ban for 10 years, but which has now been lifted, sorta. But basically I asked in the question, it's like, why are there enemies in this particular mission wearing U.S. Special Forces patches? I just saw Shadow Company's like insignia on their shoulders. Nobody answered that. I eventually found it out as time progressed, like later on into the summer. It's like, oh, that's why they're an American PMC, according to the wiki, and not Wikipedia. That was another problem. And this guy responded, he's like, this game has nothing to do with any of the games by far. Like, it's not even connected, it's its own world. It's like, no, it's not, because it had the characters from Modern Warfare, and it had certain, like, props and storylines and events connected into this. Now, before you guys, like, pause this video, and, like, spout whatever you want to say about me, this game, I know the game was intentionally built surrounding like all these multiplayer maps and different game modes from both Treyarch's Black Ops storyline and Modern Warfare's from Infinity Ward, and then mishmashed it together to make one game which had every feature from the Modern Warfare franchise to the Black Ops franchise. I know that, but considering that now that it is to be canon to the actual storyline, and I will explain why it's considered canon, I therefore consider it a game, and it's connected to both Treyarch's story elements, timeline, and Infinity Ward's. And I'll explain it right now. So, in Call of Duty Online, you have like this issue as the game progresses. Before I begin, though, this is a spoiler if you guys actually do want to figure out what happened. But before then, like, I gotta get back to the comment. So a guy spawns in. I said, well, then how come A, one of their developers already confirmed that it is connected, and B, like, I don't know exactly what I said, but it's like it is. I said it's a prequel considering the fact that the missions take place in July of 2013. And he says, well, just because they have the characters and all this stuff, and it's like, doesn't mean it's like, did you even read my comment? Did you not see? I like even put, it's like, yes, I know there are characters from said games, but, you know, that doesn't mean it's not canon. Like, I don't know. I don't consider Call of Duty Heroes to be canon. It has the main characters, but it's Clash of Clans only with Call of Duty. But I still play it anyway because it's a Call of Duty game and it has the characters. So I like playing games that actually have the characters in it. But I digress. So then he says, well, blah 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 blah. It had the same characters, doesn't mean it's canon. It's like, do you know what Operation Kingfish is? And it's alright if you guys don't know this. I mean, I know a little too much, considering that I have like a whole 16-page document so far of every single mission and event in the entire Call of Duty franchise, dating from the very first one to the latest one, Advanced Warfare, including some of the spin-off games, timeline, all the way down. So, in case you guys don't remember, Operation Kingfish was considered to be canon. It was a live-action 10-minute video by this guy. I made a video of it, actually, not mine, but you get my meaning. So it involved characters, and this took place in October of 2013, where their mission was to find Kingfish, which we now know as Makarov. They thought he was in Ukraine. Turned out to be false. They couldn't find him, but they did find out that he was planning to target the entire Bravo team, which was responsible for the death of Chairman Imran Zakayev from Call of Duty 4. And it had all the characters like Price, Soap, Roche, all that other stuff on this hit list thing. So what happened was, eventually, then Sergeant John Soap McTavish got wounded in battle. They had to get out of there. Price, who was a captain, stayed behind, like, to give them cover as their helicopter takes off, which is a V-22 Osprey. He eventually gets wounded, and after that he just went missing. Now this explains why he was in the Russian Gulag in Modern Warfare 2, and it also explains why Soap McTavish got promoted to captain. And who did he get promoted to captain by? Shepard.
Hey Russell,
I'm busy.
what are you doing?
I'm doing a video.
Hello, YouTube.
Go away.
Hold on. When is your
Mine's on the 18th.
18th? Okay. Goodbye.
Go away. Okay. So, that explains, and Call of Duty Online's missions, excluding their Cyborg Rising mode, takes place in July of 2013. Shut up! I'll just have to ignore it. But it takes place in 2013. Of July. So that's why I consider that to be an actual canonical, whatever you call it, game. So, but then it also brings to point that this also confirms my theory that both Treyarch's Black Ops and Zombie storyline are connected to the game as well. And here's why. In the game, of course, they combined all the ideas from every single game that was popular that wasn't available for consoles because of the console ban. They had Element 115, which we all know is the main element that, you know, revolves around the Zombies storyline, and Nova 6, which solely revolves around the Black Ops storyline. Regardless of what some of the developers say, this, and I don't like using this word because the first thing I think about this word is conspiracy, and I hate conspiracies because, you know, people make so many stupid ones, like when it comes to, oh, I don't know, 9/11, and I'm not going to get into that because I know I've got a lot of heat from a video before, like when I was commenting on it a lot, and I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to go through that stupidity anymore. Those people were stupid. Didn't even read a single bit of my comments, and they just kept spouting the exact same thing. It was like a broken record, like playing the exact same message. Like, do you even read, bro? Did you read what I just sent you, like, minutes ago? Well, anyway, so what happened was they have this, in the story's plot, they have to stop Colonel Winston Harker, again, spoilers, from preventing him from doing, I don't know what, because the game's not quite finished. They're just kind of, it's an online game. They're releasing new missions every so often. There's really no time, or they don't really announce that, oh, we're coming out with this new mission coming soon, blah, 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 blah. They just release it, along with some new updates, and had to remove a couple of things, like some multiplayer maps. But anyway, see what happens next, though. They're making these chemical weapons, which are a combination of Element 115, which is responsible for the zombie story, and Nova 6, in like one biochemical bomb. So that's why I consider those to be canon, and to prove this, I have to go even further back. Like, in the chronological, not when the games themselves were released. So let's go back to, well actually I gotta go forward and first why I confirm this. So, Modern Warfare 3, if you guys remember, had all these things happen, like, you know, World War III fighting against the Russians and whatnot, and this chemical attack in London, and any other place, like Paris, or Spain, somewhere in Spain, I don't know where, but there's this chemical attack. Now, regardless of what it is, I think it actually turns out to be Nova 6. Why do I say that? Well, first off, let's go back, like, I can't show you this, but if you guys have ever played the campaign in Modern Warfare 3, you'll notice, like, what I like to call the wall of targets, like, with Makarov in the center, with all these, like, pins pointing at him, kind of like those conspiracy walls you see. And on the upper left corner, you'll see a picture that says Lev underneath it. Well, when I first played the game, I thought, oh, well, it's Lev from Modern Warfare 2, one of the terrorists that were actually at the Zakhaev airport when this happened. But no, it turns out to be a picture of Colonel Lev Kravchenko, the guy from the Treyarch timeline in the Black Ops, who was featured in both Black Ops 1 and 2. Why do I freak out about this? Well, A, it's an Easter egg. It is considered an Easter egg. I'm not kidding. Also with the Samantha Maxis Easter egg. Supposedly, but they just call it... I'm sticking with it because that's how most people affiliate it with. And the fact that the game, like, Modern Warfare 3 has been developed by, like, these ones that stand out. First off, you have Raven Software. Their first ever Call of Duty game that they developed officially was Black Ops. You have Sledgehammer, which was... this was their first game that they actually developed for Call of Duty in general. And Infinity Ward, obvious owners to the Modern Warfare franchise. And Treyarch. Treyarch having the technology to convert, you know, the gameplay and stuff into the Nintendo Wii system, because they also made the Reflex edition for Modern Warfare, which was the first, like, the COD 4 Modern Warfare game. And, you know, they had this guy. So, and then I think, well, the chemical gas. I consider that Nova 6 because this is where I have to go back a little bit. After the whole international airport thing in this plot for Modern Warfare 2, they found the CIA agent who was supposed to be sent in there undercover to do, I don't know, reconnaissance or try to kill Makarov after the attack. But obviously it didn't succeed. He's dead. And he did that on purpose so that way America would be blamed. That's why in the game you notice he's using American weapons and using, or it's why the whole mission itself is called No Russian. He doesn't want you to speak Russian. He wants you to speak English, but with an American accent. So, back to what I said before, the Russians get all mad because they think, oh, the CIA and the US wanted them to attack us because we're ultranationalists, because the ultranationalist government took over Russia now in this game story. So what do? They go to war with the US and they invade, like, where this game mostly takes place in is Virginia and a little bit of Washington, D.C. Now, why are these two places important? Well, for starters, Langley, Virginia is where the CIA headquarters is, and it's in that state. Arlington, Virginia is where the Pentagon is, and Washington, D.C. is like borderline with 3 different states. And this is where I get into it. So, because they invaded, and in the Modern Warfare 2 mission, I forget which one, I think it's the one where you use the not honey badger, the Striker. Shepard, and I quote, says, they're burning through our supplies and our intel, which means they're stealing our intelligence. So, my guess is, because they went into the Pentagon, this is all fake by the way, go in there and they steal what looks like, what I believe to be the, you know, stuff for Nova 6. Now I have to go back. In Black Ops Declassified, one of the main missions is that you have to stop this former Nazi scientist named Dr. Schussel, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Why is this a big deal? Well, he was the protege and entourage of Dr. Friedrich Steiner, the original creator of the Nova 6. And in the mission's plot and synthesis, he's trying to recreate the chemical. My first question is, why would they need to create it if A, he's already working for the Soviets, and B, it's his entourage? Well, here's why. Considering that this chemical was intentionally designed to kind of attack the Allied forces during World War II, you kind of had to keep everything secret. It was like the Manhattan Project. You had to keep your lips completely shut. They didn't want this atomic bomb technology to be given to the Russians. They didn't want them to actually have that. So that's why they kept the Manhattan Project for a while, like hush-hush sort of thing, where you shut up right now kind of situation. So he tried recreating it. He failed, obviously, because Woods killed him. And then we have to go even further back to the actual game. So Nova 6, by the way, is not a real chemical, but it's based on an actual thing that was created during the Cold War time. It was not made with the same material I'm about to show you. So I have this periodic table, which I circled. I don't know if you can see it. The three major elements that were used to create the Nova 6. Sulfur, rhenium, and neodymium. I hope I'm pronouncing those right. That's the only information that the Russians had from him, because he didn't entrust anybody with this. He had most of that information on how to make it in his head. So they may know what the elements were on the periodic table, but they don't know how to convert them, because most of them are solids and transition metals, and how do you make that into a gas, so to speak? They didn't know that. That's why they were trying to recreate it. Now, this is where it gets kind of I kind of almost backed myself into a corner with this. If that's the case, then how in the world did the American, the U.S. War Department, figure it out? Well, here's where the Black Ops Zombies storyline comes into place. So, in the mission Project Nova for Black Ops, they asked him what his affiliations with the Giftiger Sturm project was all about. Well, again, I hate using this word, the theory word, because, the first thing I think of is conspiracy. So, the Giftiger Sturm project, I believe, was a joint op project between Project Nova and Group 935. Why? Because they tried to combine both their resources to try and create the ultimate superweapon, which of course failed, and they both went back to their separate projects. That's where the Nova Crawler comes from, which what Rick Coppin says when we first actually saw these characters. He's like, those must be the failed experiments that Maxis once tried to create, which, again, I believe was a joint op. His combination of reanimating the dead using element 115 and having the Nova 6 combined to create this crawler ended up failing because they were two dangerous, volatile elements that were trying to create the ultimate Nazi superweapon. And also, we go a little further forward, actually, into the Zombie Map 5. They go down to this research facility, and there are Nova Crawlers. Also in the map, there is a portrait of Major General Edward Richtofen, who, by this point, is working for the U.S. government, not only to give them supplies and stuff, but also to achieve his own goals of trying to have complete and total power over the zombies. He's using it as a cover because in Der Riese, when they overcharged the teleporter with the Pack-a-Punch DG2, ended up sending them into time travel, in which they time traveled to 1962. and they were eventually found by the U.S. government, thinking, oh, they were all dead, but no, they just time traveled. So they applied this technology, and they were basically their special forces guys. They're like, okay, I want you, like, this is basically what probably Kennedy would say if this were real. He's like, all right, gentlemen, I want you to go into Kazakhstan and stop the Soviets from sending chimps into space using this technology. And they went over there to the map Ascension, which, by the way, takes place at the exact same time that 5 takes place, because if you answer the red telephones on Ascension, you'll hear some of the voices from 5, like running low and chowdy, or any of the things from the main characters in 5. And they were also doing some research on some of the weapons that both Dr. Ludwig Maxis and Richthofen created. Them being the Ray Gun, the Thunder Gun, not the DG2, the Winter's Howl, and whatnot, which the Russians stole via Giftiger Sturm and GK Nova 6, which was used to actually promote the release of Black Ops, but it was also considered canon, what with its, leakage of information from the U.S. government to the Soviets. Again, this is all fake. Just pointing that out. And they have all of these different things. So Richthofen, what with him being the ultimate genius, like even surpassing both Steiner and Maxis into creating more wonder weapons than he could ever create, probably figured out how to create Nova 6 via, again, the whole Giftiger Sturm project, and had all this information down so that way the U.S. could use it. However, they didn't want to use it because, chemical warfare, bad. They just wanted to have that information in case they ever needed to use it. Now, again, this is completely off topic, but the Nova 6 weapon is based on what the Soviets used to use used to create back in the Cold War, and they actually had it located on the exact same island, Rebirth Island, and that's anthrax. They had vats of it, they had it in Rebirth Island, which is where the Nova 6 was also stored. Again, this is fictional, but the anthrax part was real. The side effects are very much similar. The only difference is one's a powder, the other's a gas. And basically, now we have to go even further back, why I think the actual Black Ops storyline and the zombie storyline are both connected, and making them all connected is actually going back to World at War. Why am I going back to World at War? Well, simple. Because of the fact of this one particular mission where you drive the tank. At the end of that mission, you see what looks to be like 2 Chernovs, but in reality, they're Sergeant Nikolai Belinsky and Private Chernov. This part a lot of people have been debating on, but proof is in the pudding. Until we actually find out information saying no, there isn't, I'm just gonna stay with the fact that it's considered considered to be canon. So that's why I think that the zombies and Black Ops storyline and Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare are all in one. I also believe, now bear with me on this one, that Advanced Warfare is also tied in with the Modern Warfare franchise. And this one, I guess, to some people, if you paid attention, would kind of seem a little bit obvious, but then, I'm basing it on just one thing, and until, again, we find out that no, it's not, I'm just going to say that it's considered canon. Both the Modern Warfare franchise and Advanced Warfare have this food joint called Burger Town, which is a spoof of Burger King because, product placement. Or not product placement, but, licensing and whatnot. But basically in one of the Exo Zombie maps, you actually have to you have to basically survive at this burger town, which is controlled by Atlas at the time. And that's another thing. Exo Zombies and the Advanced Warfare storyline are both connected in the same as well, because it takes place immediately after the end of Advanced Warfare's campaign. However, for some reason the wiki says it takes place 2054. Well, if that's the case, then how do you explain Gideon dying? Unless Riot was supposed to be an introduction, and all the other Exo Zombie maps are supposed to be prequels to that lead up to this event. Again, until then we have more information. Not going to say anything more. But this next part actually kind of confuses me the most, because at the end of Origins, which by far was so disappointing and made me cringe and made me disappointed about this, was that basically, so as to what most speculation comes out as, they basically say, oh well, the zombies event never actually happened. It was all just a bunch of 6-year-old kids playing with dolls, making up a story, which would explain the majorly complex Easter eggs in Black Ops 2, and it would also explain why, well, I don't know, that we had all these things jump around to different times, but Origins was supposed to be the prequel to all the zombie maps before, which I liked, it, except for the ending part that kind of crushed all the things that we had questions about. They still haven't told us whether or not they're off the moon or not. For all I know, they're on the 10th millionth round, still on the moon, and they're just this is just getting boring. Hey, Tack, let's go join Nikolai and have some vodka. I agree with you, American, for once. Because they're just up there, they're fighting. We know that supposedly Samantha is in Argatha, from the information of Buried, which is supposed to take place in 2025 or 2026. Again, people have been debating about this, but it actually makes sense this time. 2026. Let's stick with that. But anyway, so that all happens and stuff like that, and with all the incidents going on in the game. However, now Black Ops 3, which I already made in a video before, is coming out for the older gen consoles. It's coming out, and they said before though that Zombies was going to be treated with its own ranking system, kind of like multiplayer, and it would have its own separate story. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily the case, because they already backed themselves into a hole with this one, considering that World at War, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2 Zombies are all in the same storyline, and we've already confirmed that they're connected to both the campaign and the actual Zombies mode to be canon. There's just no way. There's no way. Now, I can't actually say the same about Ghosts, because Infinity Ward said, oh, Ghost was going to be its own different story. And to me, I know, to me, I say, no, it's still canon, but reality, it's not. At least not yet, until we figure out more information. But another thing that bothers me about that is that people think, oh, well, that most of the missions in Ghost take place in 2027 just because a calendar. Well, yes and no. I have the strategy book that says that they take place in 2028, and that, flashback mission where, Rourke is the good guy, it takes place in 2016, but they say no, it's 2015. And that the Odin attack didn't happen on 2018, it happened on 2017. Again, they're basing this all on that one calendar. Now, I don't know if this is true, because this part I actually didn't do any research on. But in some places, like in some countries and cultural groups, they don't use the same calendar. Like, some are considered advanced and some are considered inferior to most calendars. Like the Mayan calendar, that was like ahead of our calendar. You know, like the calendar that we have hanging up in our walls and stuff. Not that this one hanging behind me, but using that as example. Again, and maybe the Federation guys on that oil rig haven't gotten a new map yet. I don't know, because the MIT, last time I looked at it, I don't really remember it by much, but it says July 2027. Weren't the missions on Atlas taking place in June? Like, before they got into, like, you know, the end missions, like in the Atacama Desert and whatnot. I mean, again, they based it all on that one calendar. That one calendar, maybe they're just waiting for somebody to ship them a new calendar because, you know, they're up there and they're just like, hey, we ran out of calendars, what do we do? He's like, well, I guess we could use the old calendars. I mean, I know people who still reuse some of their old calendars from 1997. I'm not kidding. I've seen people use a 1997 calendar and it's 2015. That is considered a little obsolete, but then, you know, maybe they're having the same situation, only they're just a year off. So, yeah, and I was also kind of disappointed that they milked the game too much. I still play it though. I also didn't like the fact that, you know, I don't know if it's ended, but from the looks of it, it looks like they're officially ending Extinction Mode, which I thought was kind of bad, because I like new modes. I mean, they tried to score it basically probably off of the popular Zombies mode, but they did it with Aliens instead. I would have loved to see it continue a little more, because the ending for Exodus was a little bit confusing. Also was, like, you did your 4 to 5 maps, you just get ended there. But I also didn't feel as connected to, like, the game mode itself, because, not that I don't like this feature, but you could customize your own characters in the game that you play, but they don't have their own specific names. Now, that's, I think, one of the major reasons that made Exo Zombies and regular Zombies so popular, is that you actually play with characters who actually have names and a little bit of background, or more background considering that there were 2 separate characters in the franchise and whatnot. But in Ghost, you could just customize it. Well, customization's okay if you play online, but then again, what's the point of customization? The only time you actually get to see the things that you customize on yourself, contrasting to your weapon, the only time you get to see that is if you're actually in that menu doing all that, or if you die. You see what I'm getting at? It seemed kind of pointless. I was kind of hoping that we would actually have characters from the Extinction trailer, like the Sergeant, whatever his name was, Miller, possibly the woman character, and I can't remember the other character. I think it was Davis. Like, they paid actors, an actress and an actress, to play these roles just to promote the game mode, and then after that, they're just done. Yeah, no. I also kind of like the fact that the Exo Zombies, like, new map is called Carrier, and in the game, in the game's, you know, preview, they said, oh, it takes place in an Atlas aircraft carrier. He's like, really? That's an aircraft carrier? That looks more like a destroyer. Because, you know, most carriers have the flatbed, like the flat top on the front. But this did not look like a carrier at all. I constantly look at military vehicles. It looked more or less like an advanced version of the Arleigh Burke class destroyer, because they do have like a small little
landing pad for like helicopters and stuff. It just looks too small for like jets to like, you know, land and then that sort of stuff. Maybe VTOLs, but you don't necessarily call a carrier a carrier unless if it's carrying like jets and helicopters at the same time. This thing's just probably going to be able to carry helicopters or VTOLs. So yeah, other than that, I'm pretty much done with what I'm talking about. So I just gotta finish up while I'm at it. Call of Duty Heroes is the thing I'm finishing up right now, or right now I'm just trying to upgrade my base so I can get all the stuff ready. Finest Hour on my PS2, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops, World at War, Black Ops 2, yeah, and Ghost. Did I say them all? Yeah, I said them all. Those are just finishing up with their Easter eggs, player determined characters, characters in general, Easter eggs, multiplayer, blah blah blah. And Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare for its multiplayer, which is going to be impossible right now until I can get somebody to help me play it for my Wii. And that's it. I mean, don't really have anything right now. I have money, but I've also been like, because I had to order some of the stuff online, I had to use a credit card. I can't order any stuff anymore right now because I have the money to buy more stuff, but I can't with a credit card. I'd have to actually drive on over, and I don't have a license yet. I have my temps, but I'd have to drive to the nearest GameStop, which is like an hour away. And it's not that bad, but it's still an hour, or at least I think it's an hour. And you know, 10 to 1, most of the games that I bought at GameStop, whether or not it was PlayStation or a Nintendo game, I've had to go back to that same one more than once for a while because of the quality of the discs and whatnot. So I'm not gonna do it. Plus, I just want to take a break from that. I want to like wrap up what I have now before I continue doing the other stuff. So without further ado, I'm just gonna end this video now. I've talked way too much. Captain Alex Mason, and I'll see you guys. See you later with whatever I do next, whether it be today or tomorrow. Well, actually, no, I can't do anything tomorrow because I got work tomorrow. So, bye.